Before we begin, viewer discretion is strongly advised. The following is for educational and entertainment purposes only. This is the verbatim federal courtroom testimony from the Sean Diddy Combs trial as reported by Inner City Press. The moment finally arrived after months of speculation, court filings, and mounting public pressure. Sean Jay-Z Carter walked into the courtroom, not as a mogul, not as a billionaire, not as an icon, but as a man, a witness, a name pulled into chaos by association, with disturbing allegations circling Diddy's collapsing empire, freak-off parties, dark rumors, and now sworn testimony had reached a point where silence was no longer protection. Jay-Z's name had been dragged into rooms he said he never entered, events he swore never happened, and victims he claimed he never met. But now, in front of a jury, under oath, with the entire culture watching, he would have to explain himself, not in lyrics, not in metaphor, but in memory. The courtroom was tense. The judge had just ruled on Cassie Ventura's testimony. The prosecution was preparing to reintroduce exhibits tied to her claims. Diddy's defense shuffled papers with bored confidence. Then the doors opened, not softly, not discreetly, but with the kind of deliberate force that demands attention. Jay-Z entered wearing a midnight navy suit, so sharp it looked like armor. No entourage, no Beyonce, no Rock Nation team. Just him. Gas swept through the courtroom. The gallery half stood in reflex. A journalist dropped her pen. Cassie Ventura leaned in, whispering to her attorney. Even the judge raised an eyebrow, and Diddy turned at the sound, eyes locking onto Jay-Z like he was seeing a ghost from a past he thought buried. Nobody expected this, not even the press. Jay-Z had requested a sealed session for his testimony, but the court denied it, ruling that transparency outweighed privacy. And so here he was, walking straight into the eye of a storm, ready to speak. He took the stand, swore the oath, and the room filled with federal prosecutors, celebrity reporters, attorneys who once toasted million-dollar deals with him, now all leaned in, as if listening to the verse of a track they weren't supposed to hear. His voice was calm but tight, like a rope stretched thin. I want to make it clear, he began, I came here because silence ain't an option no more. And just like that, the air changed. Because when Sean Carter speaks, not the brand, not the legend, but the man behind it all, people listen. He didn't begin with denial, he began with context, and that made things dangerous. Yes, I was invited to Diddy's events. Yes, I attended. But let me be clear, what I saw and what I was told were the very different things. He spoke slowly, carefully, his legal team tense beside him, while the defense looked on, confused, unsure if this helped or hurt their case. I saw the setups, then there's the phones being taken, the back rooms with curtains. I never went in those rooms, I never signed those papers. But I knew. He paused. I knew something wasn't right, and with that the courtroom cracked open. Because it wasn't just presence being admitted, it was the inner workings being exposed. Jay-Z turned to the jury. You see, in this industry, there are parties, and then there are parties, and the ones I started walking away from, those weren't parties anymore. Those were systems. They were setups, not for fun, for control. The prosecutor asked, did you ever witness anything criminal? Jay-Z paused. Not directly, but I saw enough to know I shouldn't be there. He told the court about a 2015 event in Miami, supposedly a birthday party for Christian Combs, where things got strange. They had masks, real masks. One man walked past me in nothing but heels and leather. People laughed, but I didn't. That man looked scared. I left early, called my own driver, didn't wait for the scheduled service because I didn't want my name on whatever that was. Then came the photo, a blurry authenticated image showing Jay-Z, Diddy, LeBron James, and Beyonce in a room with a man in a latex mask kneeling on a velvet pillow. Jay-Z stared at it silently, then spoke. I remember that moment. I was told it was performance art. I didn't laugh, I didn't stay. He turned to Diddy. You knew people trusted you. You used that. And for the first time, Diddy's jaw dropped. Then Jay-Z detonated the courtroom with a private conversation he said happened in late 2018. After whispers of investigation began, according to him, Diddy called him trying to get ahead of it, told me they're coming for me. You gotta be careful who you stand next to. I asked him straight, did you do anything I can't come back from? And he said it's just parties, Jay, just experiences. Nobody gets hurt unless they want to. Jay's voice cracked slightly. That was the last real conversation we had. I stopped answering his calls. After that, he distanced himself, began skipping revolt events, pulled out of projects, told Rock Nation to keep our brand away from whatever Puffs got going on. Then the prosecution revealed something else. An email exchange from early 2020 between Jay-Z's legal counsel and an anonymous party, warning that indices from past events could be weaponized against anyone who was there, even if they weren't involved. Jay nodded. I knew what that meant. They were going to use silence as a shield. I wasn't about to get caught behind it. He ended that section of his testimony with the sentence that would make headlines before court recessed. He used to be my brother, but now I see who he really was, and who I almost became by standing to close the silence that followed. was thick. The weight had shifted. Jay-Z wasn't just a celebrity defending a reputation. He was a husband, a father, a man protecting everything he had built. "I need to speak about my family," he said, looking directly at the jury. "Because when my name gets dragged, so does theirs. Blue Ivy is old enough to read headlines now," he said. "She came to me asking what a freak-off was. That's not something a father should have to explain." He described paparazzi outside their home, reporters outside Blue's school, headlines turning fact into fiction and dropping a nuclear bomb on our family. "My wife has stood by me through everything," he said, "but this wasn't business. This was betrayal, and it wasn't true." Then he pulled out flight records, hotel receipts, photos, and videos from the night of the alleged 2015 freak-off. Said they were in Paris for their anniversary, staying at Hotel Plaza Athene. He had timestamps, eyewitnesses, everything lined up. "We weren't in Miami. We weren't at that house. We weren't at that party." The judge asked the clerk to confirm the dates. The prosecution reviewed the documents, everything checked. Jay-Z had receipts, literally. Then he turned to the bigger picture, the culture that let these rumors grow. "When did we stop demanding proof? When did accusation become conviction? My reputation isn't just mine, it's tied to my wife, my children, my legacy," he said. "I've spent decades building something clean, something meant to lift, and in a single headline, all of it gets smeared with no evidence." He didn't lean on Beyoncé's fame. He didn't use her as a shield. He spoke of her as a mother, a woman blindsided by lies. "She had no part, and I came here to defend truth," he said, "and to make sure no one, not even a billionaire, gets away with burying people in lies." His voice never broke, but it got sharper as he addressed another major claim, the infamous party at Gloria and Emilio Estefan's Miami mansion, allegedly during one of Diddy's freak-off events. "I want to be very clear, I have never in my life attended a party at Gloria Estefan's house, not in Miami, not anywhere." He unfolded more documents, a timeline of his schedule from that week, security logs, charity event records, transportation manifests, and with that his cross-examination was over. But the trial was not. The fallout was just beginning, and for the first time in this trial, the courtroom wasn't looking at Diddy, they were looking at Jay-Z and what it really means when power speaks truth and truth stares power in the face. Support Crow by liking and subscribing to this channel if you haven't already. And if you want more exclusive coverage like this, join the conversation and help independent voices stay independent. Court went silent as Jay-Z began what would become one of the most dissected testimonies in entertainment history. Through every hour of the date in question, the night of the alleged party, Jay-Z claimed he wasn't even in the same city. He was in Los Angeles attending a charity dinner hosted by the Sean Carter Foundation at the Peterson Automotive Museum. He didn't just say it. He brought receipts. "Here's my speech transcript. Here's the guest list here. As a photograph with the mayor," he told the court, while the clerk displayed a screen showing the museum's security log, every entry, every exit timestamped down to the minute. The evidence was irrefutable, but what hit harder than the facts was the breakdown of how this even started. Jay-Z took aim at the culture of vague lawsuits and viral innuendo. "You don't need a lie to be loud," he said, "you just need it to be repeated." He explained how his name got dragged into the narrative, not by any witness, not by any action, just because he had once attended events hosted by Diddy. That was the thread they pulled to unravel his entire public image. "I went to a brunch, so now I'm complicit in everything this man's accused of," he said, dryly, looking straight at the jury. Then he detailed the media fallout, how one speculative sentence turned into dozens of articles, thousands of tweets, and damage that couldn't be undone. Jay-Z's legal team submitted a report showing how many media outlets repeated the same claim. Not one of them reached out for comment, not one tried to verify, and as the judge acknowledged the validity of the museum records, Jay-Z turned his gaze toward the prosecution and said, "If you're going to drag a man into a trial this big, you better have more than gossip and guesses." Then things took a darker, surreal turn as he addressed the ocean of conspiracy theories that had swirled around him since Diddy's downfall began. "I've been called a lot of things in this industry," he said, "but Illuminati, puppet master, manipulator, murderer, by association, that's a new one." He nodded to the jury, some of whom looked visibly stunned, and he brought up specific accusations that he helped orchestrate the deaths of Aaliyah, Michael Jackson, and Tupac, that he paid off people to keep Diddy's secrets, none of it backed by even a shred of evidence, he said, "but it gets repeated because it sells." He held up a printed Reddit thread, one with thousands of upvotes, speculating about his supposed inner circle with Beyoncé and Diddy. "This is what passes for journalism now," he said flatly. Jay-Z said these theories weren't just noise anymore. They were impacting real lives. "I've had family members followed, business partners back out, even death threats because someone on the internet connected dots that don't exist." Then he admitted something unexpected. Maybe his silence made it worse. I didn't speak up sooner because I thought the truth would be obvious, but maybe I underestimated how fast lies travel when they come with good production, value, and ominous music. He ended his testimony with something simple but powerful. I'm not asking you to like me, I'm asking you to listen, to think, to demand proof. Because if we don't draw the line here, then none of us are safe from what comes next. He sat back, testimony complete, in a courtroom where whispers had become headlines. Jay-Z had just redrawn the battle lines. The room settled into a tense hush until the lead prosecutor stood. His reputation had preceded him, a relentless federal litigator known for dismantling even the most polished witnesses. He adjusted his glasses and stared directly at Jay-Z, who remained poised but alert. Mr. Carter, you say you were never at Gloria Estefan's house. The prosecutor began. You've provided logs, photos, timestamps. That's all compelling. Jay-Z nodded. Because it's the truth. But you've, by your own admission, attended Diddy's events in the past, brunches, fundraisers, award shows. Yes. Jay-Z replied. Public events, nothing like what's being described here. The prosecutor leaned in. Did you ever witness anything inappropriate at any of those events? Jay-Z hesitated, not for long, but enough for everyone to notice. Then he said, no, I saw celebrities, networking, music playing, the usual. And you never saw Cassie Ventura at one of these events or any behavior that made you uncomfortable? Jay-Z's jaw tightened. Cassie was often present. She was Diddy's partner. But I never saw her in distress, and I certainly never saw the things she's described in her testimony. So when you hear now what she's claimed about coercion, about abuse, about the so-called freak-offs, you're saying you're completely blindsided. I'm saying I didn't see it, Jay-Z answered firmly. And if I had, I wouldn't have stayed quiet. The prosecutor nodded. That's what Russell Simmons said to the room. Gasped. Jay-Z blinked, his poker face cracking. Just for a second. Objection, shouted Jay-Z's attorney. The judge sustained it, but the implication lingered in the air. The prosecutor pressed on, pushing the idea that Jay-Z's proximity to Diddy gave him access to more than just industry clout. That maybe, just maybe, he knew more than he let on, but without direct evidence it was all strategy, and the jury knew it. Some looked skeptical, others appeared moved. Jay-Z's final words before stepping down cut through the fog. I'm not here to protect Diddy, I'm here to protect my name. And if I was part of that world, if I even suspected it, I wouldn't be testifying, I'd be on trial. As Jay-Z stepped off the witness stand, he adjusted his suit jacket, glanced briefly toward the gallery, where Beyoncé was noticeably absent. But her absence felt present in every stare. He walked out the side door escorted by security, but the room remained charged, buzzing with murmurs. Some in disbelief, others nodding in vindication. Reporters scrambled, texts flew, social media exploded. Within minutes, headlines lit up. Jay-Z breaks silence under oath. Jay-Z versus prosecution. Jay-Z defends Beyoncé and family from Diddy ties. The internet had already delivered its verdict, but in the courtroom, the truth was still murky. The jury remained unreadable. Juror 4, a middle-aged black woman in a beige pantsuit, scribbled steadily. Juror 9, a young man with a military haircut, stared at the empty witness chair long after Jay-Z had left it. And the alternate juror chewed his pen, cap, brow furrowed deep in thought. One spectator